Window presents Day 25.
And now it's time for the Rural Traffic Report.
There's nothing to report again, but we have had news that Mrs. Johnson will be popping out later today in her DeLorean to play bridge. So do avoid the D1879 nonsense at around 6:30 this evening, if at all possible. There's also a couple of dislodged cat's eyes that have been making a nuisance of themselves since dawn, rolling around like crazed marbles escaped from Kaplunk. So, Mrs. Johnson, do be careful.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring vastly pertinent information about ways you can support us and the state of the nation. Patreon, PayPal, almighty crowdfunder we're at, if you're apt to cast pennies in our humbly proffered hat. Now bow thy heads and listen ye to this elected brat.
People of Britain, it's difficult to maintain a domestic textiles industry, and it's difficult to negotiate trade tariffs with multinational corporations, and it's difficult not to piss off inhumane dictators on whose slave-produced products you've come to depend once they've discovered they can get their weapons cheaper somewhere else. So, in short, from now on, everyone will have to make their own shoes out of Play-Doh. The good news, though, is that the government will now be sending out a free sachet of foot cream to every citizen once a year. It's the least we can do. Yeah.
What? You're waiting? Sorry, I thought that sketch was longer. A bit short for you? Well, here's another one then. We take you into an arboreal garden where a recently married former councilman has exiled himself up a tree.
Jeff! I brought you some tea. There's some cookies too, and a slice of melon. I had to go to Asda for that, and the brown sugar. Will you come down? I think you should, because I can hardly climb a tree whilst I'm carrying a tray with a teapot and cookies and a slice of melon and brown sugar. I didn't do it for my last husband, so I'm not going to do it for you.
Yes! This is nothing new, you know, for me. What is it about wanting to be a practical, dignified wife that it encourages just the opposite behaviour in one's husband? Skulking up there like some sheepish basin ape.
You might feel like you're some surly iconoclast, but they're all done it.
Something grand and sinuously pointless, usually after a birthday or an anniversary.
Let's not forget, it was you who wanted to get married on your birthday, so that should teach you. And what you're doing up there is small fry, you know.
My first husband took up abseiling at the age of 72. I think it was the pressure of knowing that I was so much younger and better than him, and quite noble that he should sacrifice his life so that I could have more of a future. Not that he ever put it in those terms, of course. He said that he was just taking up a new hobby. But for God's sake, he didn't even get past first base, freezing to death before he could step up the peak of K2. At least, I assume he did. He never came down.
Well, Jeff, do you want this tea or not?
Faces at the window, finding comedy for.
Thefacesatthewindow.com